lot going on in the world, obviously. Putin's invading Ukraine, surprise, surprise. I mean, he made it, even Biden was admitting, no, he's just going to go. So he has. The markets have reacted to that. But you know, the markets always react to political short term, but it never really affects the overall direction. If we're going to have a major crash, it's not going to be to Putin, but he's a fine trigger here. And so that's where we're at in the markets. The markets are at a critical point here, okay? We've seen a substantial correction. It could be that first crash. It's still in that league, but barely, okay? Barely, because that first crash should be 40% or more in 2.3 to 2.6 months, okay? 3 months max. We are almost 2 months into this. It's really only got 3, 4, 5 weeks left to run, and it's only down a little over 20% for the NASDAQ and maybe 14, 15% for the S&P at worst so far. So it's more than a normal correction, but it has to go down sharply early next week, or I'm going to start assuming it's a correction, and then we're going to make one more run at new highs, slight new high towards 5,000 or something like that, and then you have this 40 to 50% crash in 2 to 3 months. And we'll be down to similar targets, sort of thing. So this crash, the markets do look like they're topping. I still favor scenario 1. We've already peaked on January 4th. We're in this first crash, but again, has to follow through starting early to mid next week, or that look. If the markets are up, the next couple of days, next week, then you may want to hold on a little longer. Okay, so it's that tricky. I can't be definitive about this. I do favor still the down scenario. It fits the cycles, the time cycles, everything I look at. I mean, we are more than overdue for a top here. We really should have been in a longer 2 to 3 year downturn between early 2020 and late 2022 for stocks, bottoming 2023 for the economy. That would have been the normal demographic 40-year cycle, 20-year cycle, 90-year cycle scenario. But of course, governments have just muddied the water with endless money printing, and they're still doing it. Yeah, they're talking about tapering, but they can't even quite seem to do that. But this Putin thing will likely pass unless it really turns into some extended war between Putin and Europe or the US. And that's just not that likely to happen, and we'll deal with that when it comes. But the stock market's got other reasons to go down here. This should be the crash of our lifetime. The question is, did it already start on January 4th? Or my second scenario would be it starts by early and it crashes. And same 2 to 3 month, 50% plus crash quickly. So it takes that 40 to 50% crash to say, yes, we've made a top. Because when bubbles get going, they just go, especially with government supporting them 200, 300%, always printing more money, going to no ends to keep this bubble from bursting. And that should tell you something, by the way. It shows that the central banks, particularly the Fed, knows how fragile this bubble is, knows how fragile the economy is, because they've been having a hard time even pulling on this tapering that they keep talking about and not quite doing. So they should follow through. And you need to understand, a market and an economy that's been stretched now 13 years beyond the natural, going on 14 by the way, beyond its natural peak in 2007 for stocks and the economy in early 2008. That would have been the natural peak and downturn, okay? And that downturn would have been like the 30s. It should have been over 12, 13 years. I was always looking for it to be down in 2008, big crash, depression, and then a rally, and then a second depression, kind of like the 30s scenario, into 2040 to 42 before we have the millennial boom and the next fundamental surge in the economy. So we're still there. Economy underneath is weak. It needs to go down. We need to get rid and flush out a lot of debt so the millennials don't have to carry our baby boom debt people like me created and my generation. It's just not fair. So we need this downturn. It's good for the economy. And I think, despite all the efforts to prevent it, the markets and the economy are showing signs that it's just going to roll over anyway. In the March issue, I'm going to show the ECRI leading indicators, and they're basically saying we're right on a recession. So even despite all this money printing, we're likely to see the economy slow down. It looks like it's already in motion to me. And I'm telling you, we need more growth and stimulus to keep this bubble going. Any sort of slowdown, this bubble's good. That's the nature of bubbles. So the central banks have created the greatest bubble in modern history. They've supported it beyond what anybody irresponsibly would have thought they would have done, and they still don't unbubble because they'd be way more scared than they are now. There is no way. You have to be prepared, and I say this is a good time to finalize your sale of financial assets from real estate to stocks and everything else, and be out of this market. And again, you might give it early next week. If the markets are up Monday, Tuesday, okay, that's going to be a sign that we could see one more new high. It'll only be a slight new high, so it's not going to be a giant rally, okay? We might get to 40, 95, and then for sure sell. But I say, if you've already sold, feel good about it. You can never pick a top perfectly, except in hindsight. And I think we've been calling December. We called it in December 8th, strong sell signal, and then again right around the end. So good time to be out of stocks. Good time to wait for natural course to follow through. See the sale of a lifetime in all financial assets coupled. So this is going to be a great opportunity to protect your asset now.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where do you start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.